Okay, here we go again, on my own. I'm not singing the song. America issue 3. This cover, man. Not a fan. Honestly, it's kind of gaudy, because it's, meant to be a mock-up of an old X-Men comic. I have a question. Who wears, like, a Cyclops was not right tube top with a sling-kini and jean shorts? I do not understand. I'm confused. Jeez. Yeah, it's bad. It's ugly. But something kind of dawned on me, and I was thinking about this. So America Chavez is kind of like the queen of the social justice characters. Like most people that I see praising this comic are social justice warriors, which I ask to those people, why are you cheering a character that is clearly in phenomenal shape? She's not realistic. I mean, on this cover, you can see she's got a six-pack. I mean, she's kind of wide in the hips, but that's about it. Where's your body positivity? Sorry. I get a chuckle out of, kind of the radical left and the media's, what's a good word for it? Contradictions. They're consistent contradictions. You see them constantly. But yeah, not a big fan of the cover. But it does at least tell us kind of what's going to happen is that America is going to have a meeting with the X-Men. So let's get into this so that I can get this out of the way. Sort of like having sex with your mom. Okay, so first page. It's still the same ugly as sin. Apologize if you're hearing my mouse clicking. Beam chat thing as last time, and it still has the same kind of slap in the face recap statement, it's right, it's me, America Chavez, blah blah blah, and I still hate it, so there's not really much new to say there, but let me go ahead and just recap real quick, since we can just see the recap page here. Last issue, any possible threat to America as a character was solved off panel. But America's ex was kidnapped by a bunch of kids who she helped save in issue 1. Then again, that's kind of why, when you look at the recap page, you can still kind of feel like you're missing something from what I just told you. Because what I just told you was, like, the pertinent stuff from the last issues. But what she puts on the recap page is the pertinent stuff for this particular issue. The problem with this, and this is sort of an issue that I'm seeing with this book compared to other comics, especially the new run of Venom, is that if you look at Venom, which is being written by Mike Costa, the art being done by Gerardo Sandoval, I think is his name, which, I'm not going to lie, this is a good combo. Like, I'm really liking this book. Like, this new Venom series is very solid. And it's my favorite comic book character of all time, so to see it getting some justice is great. And I'll actually do a review on Venom, so you guys can kind of compare and contrast, like, the bad of Marvel with the good of Marvel, and kind of see, like, where Marvel really needs to be going in the future. But one thing that I noticed about the opening of Venom when I compared it to America was that it's got an old school style of recapping the last issue in whole, and a little bit of what's been going on up to this point to catch the reader up. And also give an enticing feel to the previous issues to make you want to go back and read them. America does not do that. With this, it's basically, the way that she describes things, because you're, describing it from the character's perspective, she comes across like she's so full of herself that it doesn't make you want to go back and read. It's like, okay, so you did a thing, let's move on. It's not good. Like, you're not selling comics with this, and that's part of the problem here. And Gabby Rivera obviously does not have previous comic book writing experience. She has, like, one novel that was critically acclaimed because it's a, leftist lesbian love story thing. So, yeah. Alright, so, first page here, we've got, as, we left with the last issue, America was flying off because the kids that she saved in issue 1 kidnapped her now ex-girlfriend. So she is flying off to save the day. And, there's not really a whole lot to say about this particular page. It's self-reflection, which is so badly needed in this comic. And here's the thing. Just to warn you, I'm actually going to have positive things to say today. I know, right? It's so surprising. But I have positive things to say, and let me just kind of break down why. But this first page, it shows us that she does have an ability to self-reflect to a degree. So we move on to the next page, and we see something that, to me... Well, I'm going to look at this in two lenses. First, from my lens of just a comic book fan who, knows literature, and then I'll talk about it from like a social justice perspective and what I find weird about this, given the writer and who's praising this comic, is so what America does after her mother's pass, and she, is trying to, or she leaves the utopian parallel to come to Earth and kind of see, people that are like her. So, first thing she does is she goes and starts hanging out with Puerto Ricans. Because, same or similar skin color. She wants to, know the culture. And then she just basically did this, or at least the vibe that I'm getting is that she went all over the world to meet people of Latin descent. You got her going to Colombia as well. So, she starts in New York like a lot of, Marvel characters do as young people, and then, moves out into the rest of the world and just kind of learns about the Latin heritage, even though, technically speaking, she's not a Latina, because she's from a completely different planet, different dimension even. So, from my perspective, this gives us some much-needed history. Now I finally know exactly what makes this girl tick to a degree. That she went and she learned about the people of Earth that looked similar to her and found kind of surrogate families and moved around the world and kind of just learned about the Latin tradition. That's cool to me because she's going out, she's learning about, the cultures of Earth, something that fits for her, and it helps her develop and grow as a person. That's a good thing. From my perspective, anyway. Like I said, it's really weird. I'm complimenting this book. But she also, and this is one thing that I don't know if Gabby Rivera was intending to do this, and being a adopted person, I can kind of give you a bit of a perspective here, is that oftentimes people who are adopted in one sense or another, we struggle with identity issues. Because, and this is this is a little bit of a personal story, so I'm just going to give you a basic idea. I didn't see a picture, of my birth family, updated as adults, until I was, I want to say, 27, 28. So about 4 years ago. And I had never seen someone that I could tell was a relative of mine just by looking at their face. Never had that sensation before. So people who are adopted, and I have an adopted younger sister too, we struggle with identity problems. It's a struggle that we go through our entire lives. We usually, statistically speaking, people who are adopted are considerably happier than they probably would have been with their original families. But that's kind of one downside of adoption. It's a small downside, but it's a downside. Anyway, I don't want to get too into that. But she's kind of giving us this feeling that that's part of the reason that she might have some of her character flaws, is because she has a tiny identity crisis of being on Earth as an extraterrestrial. That's actually good storytelling. And again, I don't know if Gabby Rivera stumbled onto this or if this was intentional, but it's not bad. It's not a bad idea to include this. I think it should have been included 2 issues ago, but at least it's here. Now here's what I find funny, is that social justice types love this fucking book, but here an alien comes appropriating cultures because she's the same shade of brown and they're not offended by that? Huh. It's almost as if, it takes a bit of a shred of decency to not give a shit and to actually be happy that people want to learn about other cultures. Christ. Anyway, so the next page has America busting through one of her star-shaped portals. And, minor thing, I'm going to say about this character. Because here's the thing. I give all fictional characters a shot every time I pick up a book. Because you never know. A book can jump up in quality from a previous writer or a previous issue even, or they can jump considerably down in quality. So you gotta kind of come in fresh. Like a good example of jumping down in quality is when Warren Ellis stopped writing The Authority and Mark Miller picked it up. Mark Miller taking over that book wasn't bad, but he wasn't as good as Warren Ellis, and he never will be. So, that book wasn't nearly as good as it was before. And that happened from one issue to another, because something can change. The artist can change, the writer can change, so on and so forth. Anyway, so what we see here in this next page is we see some figure looking towards the sky as America breaks through this. And, what I was going to say, sorry, my brain is going everywhere today. I do like the aesthetic of the shape of her portals. There's something very old school about it that I really enjoy. Kind of like a Super Friends vibe. And I watched the Super Friends when I was a kid, so sue me. Anyway, so this person in this robe is speaking, and she says like your Majumar has always loved you. I'm thinking that it's probably some distant relative of hers from the Utopian Parallel that is kind of the mastermind behind like this little journey that she's going on. So, but this doesn't really say that much. Is all we can really tell is that a hooded person is doing something, and she has on armbands with stars, so that you can tell that there's some sort of relation between the two of them. But this is where we finally hear that Sotomayor University is a school located on a world between dimensions. And here's the thing: why didn't I find this out in issue 1? I thought that she was in Brooklyn or some shit. Like, it's about fucking time, but still. And also, here's another thing I'm curious about. Why is it called Sotomayor University if it's like a school for super people? Why would a world between dimensions have a school called Sotomayor University? If it's a school for training young people, wouldn't it be like or young super people, I should say. Wouldn't it be like the Charles Xavier Memorial University or something like that? Because Charles is dead. He's been dead for a little bit now. So, no, maybe it's just me. Let's move on. So, once again, America, after opening a portal, has no control over it or where it's taking her. And she is obviously vexed by this. Not very happy. Can't say I blame her. But yeah, she has no control over where it's going, and then, lo and behold, she makes a threat to somebody she can't see. Turns out,
yeah, it's a Juggernaut, bitch!
I'm sorry, but, this is like something out of When Keeping It Real Goes Wrong, which, I've probably mentioned this before, I'm a big Captain America fan. And that's kind of like Cap's thing, is he oftentimes will stand up to somebody much bigger than him. And we saw it in the films, too. But that's part of what makes him a hero. But, there's some panels of the comics where it like, you can go, When Keeping It Real Goes Wrong with Captain America. Like, when he stands up to Thanos, I showed that panel in the last episode. When he stands up to Thanos, and when Thanos is wielding the goddamn Infinity Gauntlet. Things like that are just are funny to me in comic books. I feel like you gotta be able to laugh at this stuff. So next page, we see Nightcrawler standing over America, and I have to say, anytime I see Kurt Wagner, I'm always happy. Another one of my favorite characters ever. So she gets a little shocked because let's face it, Kurt is not the the main sight you want to see when you wake up when you're lying down. Maybe it's just me, I'm not into dudes. On top of that, I'm not into blue dudes. Anyway. But what I find funny here is that America's first instinct is to put this guy in a sleeper hold. Like in a rear naked choke. I'm thinking to myself, like, do you not recognize him? Do you not know who that is? I don't know. But anyway, obviously, it's the X-Men that she's walked into a middle of a fight with, between the X-Men and Juggernaut. Specifically, this is in the Danger Room. But being the good Christian that Kurt is, he doesn't fight America. He wouldn't win, but he just encourages her to help them fight, which is Kurt Wagner, this is strange to me because I don't see Gabby, or whatever her name is, really getting characters correct very often, but she actually does get Kirk right there. It's one line, one speech, or just a few speech bubbles, but that's something Kurt would do. So that's another good thing about this. So again, this is one of those weird things where I'm complimenting this book to some degree. So next page, we get a splash page and Storm shows up. And America recognizes her, which we saw on the first issue. Storm was basically, tonguing her lady parts with praise, because that's one of the writer's tactics, is she gets other established characters to tell you that America is awesome without proving America's awesomeness. So they banter back and forth. But one thing I find weird is, and I really don't like this, Storm is speaking like she usually does, kind of has that regal feel to the way she speaks, because, when Charles Xavier found her, she was, being worshipped as a god by a tribe in Africa. And she just stops out of nowhere as she goes, and it's the 80s, punk's huge right now. That doesn't strike me as something Storm would just stop and say. This is a minor gripe, I'll admit, but that's something I'm not a fan of. But anyway, we find out that somebody, we don't know who yet, obviously, I'm assuming it's the person in the robed figure we've seen, let Aurora know that America is coming to see her. Yeah, same as Peggy in the last issue, and they're going to help her find her ex. So, next page, we cut away from the fight with the Juggernaut, and we see somebody in a lucha robe and wrestling boots, and in a wrestling ring. Could we get anything any more typically Latin? Or it could be it could be meant to be a boxing robe and a boxing ring. Again, could we get anything more stereotypically Latin, because boxing's huge in Mexico. Anyway, it's basically all we really can tell from this is that she looks like an older version of America Chavez and has been beaten up. Looking pretty recently, just judging by the swelling of the eye and the nose. Oddly enough, I don't think that the art is that bad in these two bottom panels. But I have no clue what she's talking about, so let's just keep going. Anyway, we're just going to go through this real quick. Next couple of pages are spent with some soul-searching that America is going through, and Aurora trying to help her out with that. Because if I remember right, this is kind of Aurora when she was like in her mid-20s or so, back in that print where she had like the punker haircut and looked hot, I'm not going to lie. And there is a, how do I describe this? It's just an interesting exchange between the two of them. And one thing I have to say is that, again, there's some shockingly good storytelling here. Because Storm tries to get America to medicate and to think and to slow herself down, and she can't do it. She's incapable of doing it. She doesn't have the patience. So, yeah, that's actually decent storytelling. It gives us an idea of what her flaws are as a character. Because that's kind of the main thing about Marvel Comics and what they were doing before DC was doing, or rather they were doing it well, was flawed characters. A lot of characters, they have these personal issues that are very relatable from us to them. Because, think about Superman for a second. Normally, a chubby guy, like, missing some of his teeth, like me, I have no way to identify with a character like Clark Kent, Superman. The man is perfect in every way, shape, and form. Because he does everything well. He wasn't really, like, shown failing that much during the Silver Age. And then you look at a character like Spider-Man who, gets bullied as a kid. And has an interest in science, has an interest in journalism. You can kind of see why Spider-Man's my favorite superhero. It's it's one of those things where the ability to identify, like, this sort of stuff is key to be able to identify with a character. I'm sorry that my speech is all over the place. It's just, I'm shocked at the fact that there is any half-decent storytelling in this book. So, yeah. But yeah, that's kind of what you get, is there's a, kind of this weird thing. And there's more talk about seeking ancestors, which if this degenerates into some we was kangs and shit sort of thing, I'm gonna check out. But anyway, so she says that she can only concentrate via fighting, so they start. There's one little quip here from Storm that says her safe word is thunderclap. I guess that explains the haircut and the leather. Anyway. But again, I have to admit, Storm is actually written like Storm here. Written pretty well. Nothing like mind-blowing here is going on. She's basically teaching America that, she has limitations. She has things she has to work out. She has to be able to, let go of these issues and let go of these crazy emotions that are affecting her, and she has to be able to forge forward. Storm is a great leader in comics, quite frankly. I've always felt that she's probably one of the best leaders in the X-Men. I actually like her more than Cyclops as a leader, especially back in the days of like the 90s X-Men stories. But yeah, this is pretty good. It's just the only problems that I have here is, first, I thought America was like fighting in space, unassisted, in Secret Empire right now. So that's a little bit of inconsistency. And second thing is, in the next page after the splash, is Aurora says that she's given, or America has given her hope for tomorrow. Why? You just spent this whole time teaching her. So what happened off panel, like something? So, but that's my problem with this book. Again, is the writer is having a character tell us that America is awesome without America doing something awesome. If she would stop doing this and have these people teach her and remind her of what she needs to learn, I would be much more invested in this character. But stuff like that is author insert crap. And it really drives me crazy. I hate it when writers do that, no matter what character. But one thing I will say is, the art, if nothing else, has improved on this page. I really like this shot of America, the bottom panel. It's actually kind of funny. Don't tell me I'm not gonna get I'm not gonna get you to tell me the story behind Thunderclap. That's kind of funny. So, anyway, so America shows up on Maltaxia finally, and reasonably pissed, because these fucking kids kidnapped her ex-girlfriend. I'd be pissed too. So, the little kids have apparently been watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer with America's ex. And apparently, as we see in later pages, the energy being that she punched into stars? Well, the energy being is back. Alright, so here's my problem. First off, this is kind of funny because it makes sense. And I expect this book to make anything but sense. She was being so bitchy towards T'Challa and the Blue Marvel in the first issue, while worrying about this issue and not vocalizing her worries about her own powers and her own effects on that being that she punched, and now she's paying for it. And the kids, that are apparently fans of hers but are noticeably pissed, have a good reason to be pissed. But the second part is, I find that they went to this length. It's so a hero comes and saves your planet, right? And to get their attention, you kidnap one of their fucking loved ones? What the fuck? Why? Are they really just Captain America fans because of the hair? Because I'm genuinely wondering that. But in all seriousness, though, what makes you think that this is not going to end badly for you? To kidnap somebody that a superhero cares about. That is a recipe for a roaring rampage of revenge. If America had charged in and just started punching heads off, I couldn't have blamed her. But it's like, you know, you say you're a fan of this hero. Why would you do something evil? The consistency here is stupid. I know that they're kids, but children don't usually think like that unless the kids are fucking sociopaths. Alright, so a fight breaks out, and they start having problems with the energy beings, right? And, you know, Captain America Hair Girl gets hit, nobody cares. And then she thinks that the Ultimates have shown up, and really it's the fucking Phi Beta fuck-ups. You know, the West Side Story looking idiots. One of them has like a video thing for like you used to play with when you were like in the like 5-year-old in the 90s, attached to her face as glasses. Oh God, so like every time I see these damn things, like the video thingy like chick and like the Kuwabara hair chick, it's like what the fuck is going on? Like these guys look like they raided Flava Flav's wardrobe. Jesus Christ. Like, the book went from being mediocre to being fucking stupid at the tail end of it. Honestly. I want to hurl right now. But we end the issue finding out that the energy being is bigger than before. And is pissed at America Chavez. And we're going to have an actual fight in the next issue. But here's my question. Is it just me? Or, well, do you know Stardust, the Herald of Galactus? Is it just me, or does this look like Stardust's gay cousin? Anyway, this book still sucks. It finally at least gives us a bit of character development that wasn't half bad, but it's dragged down by the fact that all the information is coming 2 issues too late. On top of that, the conflict here doesn't seem to make much sense, and it makes America look like a moron for not trusting the instincts of more experienced heroes. On top of that, I can't feel bad for the kids who kidnapped America's ex, despite the fact that their planet is now being invaded by a worse threat, because they're fucking sociopaths who kidnapped somebody. And the worst threat, I don't mean the Phi Beta fuck-ups. I mean Stardust's gay cousin. So, to conclude, this issue gets a 0 out of 10 for me, which is better than the last 2 issues. But it's got a couple of decent moments, but dear God, it's just the quality of this comic overall is fucking abysmal. And I don't really understand where on earth the writer thinks that she's going with this, but I don't know how people keep interest. I really think that it's just because this character is a lesbian. My name is Micah Curtis. I'll see you next time.